Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first Loan Officer Experience podcast, where we're going to be breaking down boring mortgage talk. And we're going to hear real stories from real people that actually are moving the industry forward. And who better to help us kick it off than someone that I feel has done an amazing job leading the charge for the broker community? Jonathon Haddad, and CEO of AIME, a true champion for independent mortgage experts. And today, Jonathan's he's going to take us through a journey that's brought him to where he's at today. Clear up some of the biggest misconceptions that brokers hear and hopefully deliver. He will. This guy's the man. He's going to deliver practical things that you, the loan officer, can implement and take and move the needle in your business. So whether you're retail or wholesale, I don't care. Like, we're not here for that, but we're just trying to stay relevant in a shifting market. So this conversation will give people insights and you don't want to miss it, because these insights are real, they're fun, and they're honest. And we want to move the forward industry in a powerful way. John, welcome to the very first episode of the Loan Officer Experience podcast. I'm pumped to have you here, my man.
KT, with you, man, it's funny because I think everyone's starting to know that you're doing your thing now. You're helping alongside AIME. You're really pushing the needle. And you're going to love just some of the stuff this guy's done. One of the most humble human beings I've ever met. Always about the team. And plus he's got a voice of gold. So I am excited to be here, KT. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. That's awesome. Well, let's jump right in. John and I have been talking about an AIME podcast for some time, powered by AIME. And we're here because we wanted to really send a message to really help break things down for the broker community. I think there's a lot of loan officers out there that are looking to jump into this industry, on our side, at least, and already in the industry, maybe jumping on our side. But I don't really want to get into that just yet. Just really want to get to know you. I want the audience, I want loan officers to get to know you. There's things that I know about you that a lot of people don't know. I think that's important. So for those that don't know, how did you go from loan officer 10 years ago, right, to leading AIME today? Because that context matters to a lot of people. And I want them to know, your story, of how you became where you are today.
Yeah, man. It's everyone says it, but nobody ever wants to get into mortgages unless you're Jason Frazier, who grew up in it. All right. He always talks about being there for 40 years. But to your point, I was a bartender at Buffalo Wild Wings, taking care of my family, helping out, doing what you think you're supposed to do, and just trying to put yourself forward. I had dropped out of college to help a little bit more and to work and to just dial in, because we just needed me to do that at the time. And so I dropped out. I'm bartending. I'm having fun. And I always had a philosophy with people. Like, I was always so competitive, and I'd be competitive about the most random things, but they turned into philosophy. So when I bartended, the other bartenders, they'd have regulars that come in, or people that come in, and they'd say, oh, like, that person, they're going to get 2 beers and, they're going to only tip you $1. Okay, right. Whatever. They'd say stuff like that. That person, this. But when they'd say that, in my head, I'm like, all right, you know what? What if they tip me $1.25? Like, what if I can get the change? Because I would just think that way. What do I got to do to get the change? Like, if the most you're going to tip me is $2, how do I earn it? If the most you're going to tip me is 50 cents, how do I earn it? And so that turned into a mindset for me. So it started there with people. And then one day this guy walks into the bar, and I worked in an area where people didn't always have on, Rolexes, and they didn't have on Burberry. That's not the area that I was working in at the time. So when someone walks in dressed to the nines, and they got the Ferragamo on, they got the Rolex on as a 20-year-old, that was definitely something that I was highly interested in. And so I'm sitting there taking care of him like I would anybody else. And he looks at me. I still remember his order to this day, spicy garlic chicken wings, and he had 2 beers. And I actually text every once in a while. We still stay in touch. And he looks at me, he goes, how much money do you make? I go, what do you mean? That's a weird question to ask. He goes, how much money do you make? I tell him. He goes, you want to make triple. KT, I looked at him. I said, who do I have to kill to make triple? Right? Jokes aside. So what do you know about mortgages? I said, I don't know. I live in a house with my parents. And great. And then that is where the journey started. So I actually signed up for classes coming up in that spring, I believe, is when it was supposed to be. I signed up for classes that spring. And I went downtown. It was at Rocket Mortgage. And that's where I ended up starting, was at there in retail. And I went downtown and I said, okay, went back home, talked to my mom. My mom said, go to school, but then talked to my grandma, who is the only person that can supersede my mom. And I went to her and I said, what do you think? And she said, look, God put this in front of you. School's going to be there. I think you should try it. Tried it, put in my 2 weeks, tried it. April 1st, 2013 is when I started and just took off. I couldn't believe I couldn't believe I could make money doing this. I couldn't believe it. My first big paycheck, KT, $22,000 on my 22nd birthday. And I looked and cried. Like I looked around and I was just like, there's no way. Like, there's no way this is hitting my bank account tomorrow. There's no way. Absolutely not. And it did. And that was it. And so it starts there. I think we all start green, at least for me, for my circumstances. And then it just kept building and building. Wait, there's something here. Oh, wait, there's something here. And then it just kept evolving. And within 10 months, I became the youngest and fastest leader ever promoted at the organization. It was 10 months of being a loan officer. I was doing 50 units a month. My second full month, I did 40 loans on the floor, which was just unheard of, but I wouldn't leave the office. I actually used to get pulled into HR. Hey, are you okay? What's wrong? You're working 100 hours a week. And I'm fine. Like, am I okay? Like, are we good? It's commission, right? Yeah. So am I okay? Can I stay here? They're like, yeah, we just want to check on you. I'm good to go. And every day till midnight, just in the office, do my thing. Teams were exploding, was doing very, very well. Did that for about 6 years or so. Became a VP over there, helped build the chat channel. And then all of a sudden, man, I just want more. I just like, something's missing. I'm capped. I can't make more. I can't break a barrier. I can't make more money. I can't do anything else. I can't. Like, where can I go? Am I only going to be a leader? Am I only going to be a leader of just mortgage banking? Is there actually something there? And then all of a sudden, it just turns in, enter the broker space. Started here at Next Door Lending, the company that I work for now. And so we really took that off, and that started to explode. And here's what's crazy. I joined AIME while we were actually, when we switched over initially, all of our partners were with Rocket TPO. And I didn't know what was going on, didn't really know about the scene and anything like that. When we switched over, that's where we started, was there. And then from that, we ended up saying, okay, what are we doing, right? What are we going to do as brokers? What are we going to do to build this? What are we actually wanting to do and accomplish as a company? And then I joined AIME, but back in the day, but was part of Rocket Pro TPO. I was like, oh no, what is this? I didn't even know what AIME was. I was trying to figure it out and understand. And then I jumped in and I just jumped into the trenches. I start replying. I start helping people. I start figuring out who people are. Then I start going to events and networking. And then we made a decision as an organization. We decided to switch to UWM. And that was like 3 years ago or so now. And we switched over there to UWM. And so now I'm sitting there thinking, all right, UWM's the title sponsor. Now I see EPM. I'm signed up with, now we have Windsor, New Res at the time. I'm watching all these lenders. I'm like, guys, what is this? What is it? Can you fill me in more? Can you tell me more? You guys are promoting in there. So they start telling me more about it, because I always had my head down. We always had blinders in retail. They didn't want us in sites. They didn't want us anywhere. It was sit at your computer, keep your head down, which, by the way, I totally understand, to be very clear with you. Once that happens, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. Then I start talking to loan officers. Then I start going to events. And all the stuff they're talking about was stuff that I did for the last decade, right? Past clients, refinances. How do you stay in front of this? How do you call your past clients? Did you see this AI tool? Like, I was using that 8 years ago. So now I'm providing value. People are asking me for advice. Starts opening more doors. And then all of a sudden, tapped on the shoulder, had a conversation with Mark, and then Katie previously, who was leading the charge here. Had conversations with them, went through its process, and all of a sudden, do you want to take this over? Sure, I'd love to do it. Here's your salary. I said, you know what? Give me zero. Let me just show you what I can do first. Make sure it's something I want to do. Started at $0. First 30 days were miserable. Got absolutely decimated, man. Roasted,
yes,
destroyed.
Yes.
I read every single message, and I was like, you got tough, thick skin. Thank God you got thick skin, my man. And that was it. And then it's taken off now, 1.5 years, and we've just been exploding. So I tried to dumb it all down in a nutshell for you, but that's my 13-year journey As of April 1st, it'll be 13 years.
It's such a great story. And so many people can resonate with it, including me. And when I hear you say that, what I loved most about what you shared was the simple fact that you went back. And I want you to, and this is important for everyone to hear, John. When you go back and you think of that $22,000, that first paycheck, mine was $27,000. I'm not trying to one up you. It really was $27,000. It might as well have been $270,000 for me at that time. Coming out of the Marine Corps as a sergeant, the most I'd ever made was $34,000 for a whole year, right? And you worked 24/7, so it was like I thought this should be illegal. This is like being a drug dealer, but legal, like this can't be this easy. And very similar story as yours, and you kind of go through it, but it's such an important point because there's a lot of originators out there. They are that are either brand new and they're just starting off. It took me 6 months before I got my first paycheck. You may not have had to wait that long, but I did. And it gave me the staying power to really take my business to the next level and figure it out. And for like a year and a half to 3 years, I was just trying to figure it out. We didn't have the tools and technology and stuff. Of course, I'm in 2003, right? We didn't have those tools, but I think that you bringing that up is such an important piece of what a lot of originators need to hear, especially if they're newer. It's just one good month can set your trajectory of success in this industry if you just are focused on the right activities and moving forward. So I love that part of your story.
Thanks, brother.
Now, when you did come into AIME, it was brutal for you. I think a lot of people sat on the sidelines. Substantially more people sat on the sidelines and in silence. I was probably one of them as well. I did kind of mess with you a little bit in teasing you in some comments, but nothing, nothing like you were dealing with. And what I love about how you've showed up since then just shows your character, your leadership, your ability to have thick skin, right? Or, that gift of, having that thick skin and being able to turn a 360 and just turn something that was good into great. And that's what you've done at AIM. And I've seen it. I think a lot of people have seen it. And I certainly think you've improved yourself. But if you could sum up AIM's mission in one sentence and the vision that you have moving forward, how would you do that? How would you word that?
Right now, I am in a position where I believe simplicity is the most important thing. We're overcomplicating too much. So our mission is simple. It's all over the place. It's help brokers close more loans.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. What I've really appreciated the most is the ability that you have to say it's one mission. It's one broker, one mission, one community, and you're trying to simplify it as guys, we're here to help everyone, and I love that messaging. And you're really, bringing it to a place that it hasn't been before, right? I think a lot of organizations sometimes get caught up in things that aren't serving the members themselves, that aren't serving them in a way that's going to help them grow their business. Like in the trenches, you're in the trenches, dude. That's what I love about you being where you're at. And so, yeah, so let's do this. What does that mission matter right now for you more than ever?
The data is all out there, right? So refinances, I've been talking about that nonstop, but you said something earlier, right? It gave you the will to keep going when you made that check, when you were making money. Same thing. And right now, a lot of loan officers I talk to are in that spot. So helping them close one more loan, helping them close more loans, that's just what they need right now. That's what we need right now as an association, as mortgage brokers, because people have it's been taking a hit. We see the numbers. Loan officers are going down. There's companies going out of business. Like, let's not pretend and sugarcoat like that it's perfect, but this is your market. I've talked about that before. This is your market. This is what you're living. Either make excuses, fine, or do something about it. And if you want to do something about it, we're your spot. Get up early, work harder, do more, go to more networking events, figure out how to use AI. Don't get out of the mindset of, well, I'm just not good at that. That's a terrible mindset. I am somebody right now working on so many things. And in the morning, I'm journaling. And part of my journaling is expanding my vocabulary. And AI, my chat GPT, gives me a word of the day and I got to put in a bunch of sentences on how to use it. That's not something I was good at, but I want to get better at it. Why? My kids want to make sure they have that. They can articulate themselves. They can express their emotions better. So we got to stop saying, oh, I'm just not good at that. Well, time to get good at it. Because if you don't, the person following you, the person coming up, they're going to be really good at it. You know, the 20-year-olds that are just doing AI right now, you know, the ones that are just scratching the surface, playing around with it. What do you think they're going to be doing in 5 years? If you say to yourself, this is just me, too bad. Too bad, my friends. So I excuse my passion. It's just when I say help brokers close more loans, of course, there's so much more context. Of course, there's so much more meat on that bone. But up front, it is that simple. But joining us, walking us through that path, you can see how granular it is and you can see the focuses. Excuse my passion.
Yeah, no, I love it. Bring it, give me some more, John. Give me some more. Um, yeah, that's fantastic. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean it. Like it's not hard, but it requires work. And you've got to be committed to the process. And I always say being committed is like moving a mountain with a shovel. That's commitment. And when you have a high level of commitment, it's like anytime you see foreigners or people from other countries come over here from bad situations, have two pennies to rub together. You ever notice they always become uber successful?
They
And they
don't
have these
stop.
amazing stories. And so, sometimes people just haven't been in a place long enough, same as when people lose, someone's 500 or 600 pounds and they have a transformation, they lose all this weight. Sometimes the pain has to be great enough, long enough before they change. And so we
I
want to
love
help.
that.
Yeah. We want to help them move, man, faster.
It's
And
so
it's just,
strong, KT. That is so,
yeah.
Nika, for those that don't, Nika Ojo, Houston, her story is just unbelievable. She was showing me pictures of like where they used to, like her husband used to sleep. He slept back in, he would literally sleep on a like mud cement bed. And she showed me a picture of the kitchen. There was like dirt on the ground, and now to see what they've done, to your point, it is unbelievable when it comes to this country and what he's done and put together. And you know what's crazy, KT? My favorite part about it, when I asked him, we were there, I'm asking about it. The whole time he's telling me the story. You know what he's doing? Smiling ear to ear. Yep, yeah, that's what happened. I'm like, why are you smiling about it? He goes, because my story, it's awesome, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, what a mindset, man! How many people? Ah, no, the
Well, I mean,
market, no. And I know some people. That's not very. I don't care. You're in commission
right.
sales. You elected to start at zero every single month. This is not. You need thick skin. This is not for the faint of heart. If you're not working on your craft, if you're not trying to be better, if you're not trying to close more loans, you got to ask yourself, what do I need to do to improve? So that's why I'm so
Absolutely.
passionate about it.
Yeah, I love it. I appreciate you sharing that. Well, I'm going to transition over to another topic that I think is important, and it's myth busting the broker world. I think that there's a few myths. What do you think is the biggest misconception you hear about brokers, and what do you think the truth really is?
The biggest misconception I hear about mortgage brokers right now, I can kind of walk you through a little journey, like what I heard early on, because I had very little understanding of it, especially being in retail for as long as I was. Um, Early on, I was told what everybody else was told, right? They're the reason the crash happened. That's how I was taught to sell against brokers. And, you know, I hate to say it, but I did win a lot of deals selling against brokers, even with lower rates, lower cost.
Yeah.
I mean, it's being easier to talk about it now because it was so difficult up front with how bad I got roasted. So I'm like, all right, let me just hold on a little bit. But to your point, KT, trained assassin in retail, brokers screwed over consumers. Brokers are the reason the market crashed. Your numbers are going to change on your LE. All of this stuff up front was the initial myths. Now, the biggest myths on our side right now that we hear a lot of is the processing, the AI, how it's not dialed in, how the loans are sold, and servicing is like such, that's the say all be all with servicing and the laws and the rules all changing. I hear that all the time nonstop. You can't really make as much money as you think you can. The technology's not as good. I mean, it's crazy the stuff that they
Less
throw out.
options. Yeah.
The margins, no,
Mhm.
their margins are inflated. I'm like, you can't inflate the margin. I don't understand. But I've heard some of the craziest things right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we all have, and listen, I was a retail person for for 10 years. First 10 years of, well, actually, first 10 years of my career as broker, and then went retail for a little over 9 years, almost 10. It's a long time. And I feel very well versed in both of them. And you know what? I love retail, John, for some people. But if you go back and you look at history, history will show that retail scared you into retail after Dodd-Frank. Okay.
Mm.
In my opinion, right?
I think you're right.
And yeah. And so when that passed, I felt like I was one of the last of the Mohicans, baby, with in the broker world, because everybody I had known had left. And a lot of us have started, over since 2020, it's been growing, at big numbers. It's growing very fast. And I think people are starting to see the writing on the wall. For me, it's always been retail. I didn't have a problem selling right in retail because I had high level of service and trust built with the customer. And that's what retail does. And they're very good at it. Right now, the reason I say I could always sell a higher rate is because it's the truth. I could. But when you join the broker side, one of the things I love most about it is I can give a rate with confidence, right? Even though I can still sell it, I might not have a problem selling it because I built all the trust and value, but it's still lower than retail. And it gives me confidence in my ability when I'm communicating. And you leverage it, but it's not what the broker community, I think, hangs their hat on, because they want the same thing. They want to build trust and high level of communication and all of these things that, that retail will do. But I think that price is one of the biggest things for me. And it's true that brokers are priced better in most cases. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's the data
And
continues to indicate that across the board.
yeah, and I think, to be fair, I think some of the challenges that the broker community has, in my opinion, is simple. It's so many different models inside the broker model itself, whether you're plugging into someone or being an owner or trying to be an owner operator and originate, that's the challenge. Is brokers have got to do a better job of dialing in their operations and scaling it, or plugging it into something that's going to be operational and scalable. But other than
Can I
that,
touch base on that a little bit more
yeah,
too? Can I give
yeah,
you a little more
for
on that?
sure.
So,
Yep.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think there's another really big one that I'm seeing a lot of now, especially since we got acquired by NerdWallet on my side. And the reason I say that is I can just see a lot of the marketplace stuff, right? Inside, and what they do, and how NerdWallet sells leads to other organizations, because we're a separate subsidiary of them.
Mhm.
One of the other big areas that we're seeing now, though, is what retail is doing is they have servicing, and they're using AI more than we are. And so if they can keep cutting down the margin, they can leverage servicing to offset some of the additional infrastructure on interest rates. So you can actually watch them bring their interest rates down because they have servicing and can make additional money off the servicing. All right.
Right.
So
Yep.
the more AI improves and the more they don't need people, and that's going to happen. It's going to happen. They're not going to need people. The more they're not going to need people, their margins come down. So I say that because, to your point, KT, y'all, if you're not trying to figure out AI, if you're not trying to figure out optimization, if it's deep, to his point, I just want you to understand how deep it really is. Figuring this out, finding the time, building the systems, giving your time back, focusing on sales, focusing on retaining your consumer. This is not a joke. Companies are in business to make money. That it's really simple. All the mortgage companies I know, everyone I know, is a for-profit company. I don't know any nonprofit mortgage companies. So think about that, and don't be delusional, and really press ahead and build out what you need.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's
Mm-hmm.
very good perspective. I want to move on to another topic, and it's really more about powerful hacks or growth hacks for loan officers, because this is the real reality. Whether you're new or you're a veteran, especially if you're a veteran, there's so many loan officers I feel like that have lost their confidence in a down market, and they just, it's like, hey guys, just get back to the basics. It's not that hard. Like, yes, everyone was down, but god dang, there's got to come a point where you have to stop having that mindset and press forward and put your big boy pants on and get your confidence back. What's the single most important mindset shift that loan officers need to thrive in today's market,
So
2025?
here's mortgage brokers specifically. Now, what I'm going to say is not for everybody, because I understand some of you are dialed into this, but most are not. Okay, really simple. Number one, adapt. What do I mean by adapt? Same stuff I just said prior. That's the AI, that's the optimization, that's chat GPT, that's whatever it is. Okay. Number two, stop assuming the client doesn't want to do a deal. Stop it. Stop prejudging. Stop assuming. It doesn't make sense. It has to end. That's going to kill you if you keep assuming the client doesn't want to do something. John, the client has a 4% interest rate. Well, we just helped a client that had a 4% interest rate. Guess what else they had? They had $93,000 in credit card debt.
Yep.
They had a business credit card. And by the way, wasn't on the credit report either. KT, it wasn't on the credit report. John, you should have done a HELOC. Not when his credit score went down too much and there's nobody that'll take the deal. Of course, I would say check a credit union. He can't. I already did. Well, here, I got a 6.25% for you. Here's what it looks like. Here's your effective interest rate. You can actually pay this debt off, pay it down. It'll help rebuild your business credit because he needs that as well. KT, does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
But he has a 4%, KT. He has a 4% though, KT.
I get it.
And it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's a book called The Four Agreements, and assuming is like, I think, the first agreement. And it's one of the worst things. And everyone does. We create stories about things that aren't true. And
narratives.
And there's so many. Yeah. And when you can just frame up a conversation and learn to just talk to people with really no hidden agenda, just genuinely talk to them and start asking questions, you'll start finding people's pain points. And it's so funny. I had a client just call me or text me yesterday, I believe, or the day before. And they literally said, "Hey, KT, I think I need a refinance. And has it been long enough? And can I do it?" And I was just like, "Well, what's your rate now?" And she said it was 6.75. And so I said, and I was able to get her, I quoted her rate yesterday at 5.625. And she goes, "What would you do?" I said, "I'd wait just a little bit longer." I said, "Now, some people would tell you to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to tell you because I have confidence in what the market's going to do in the coming days, but it's a risk. But if you want to wait. If you want to do it, we'll knock it out, and of course, loan amount's important. We know all those things. So I'm going to get into those details, but
yeah, it's not about the details though, KT, to what you said. It's that conversation. And even people say, "Well, John, I don't want to sell." To your point, it's not about selling. If it doesn't make sense, you now have the ability to tell your same past client exactly what KT, what do you think? You think she's going anywhere, y'all? You think now after KT said, wait, now when she gets a call from retail and they say, "Hey, we're going to blast your phone and call you to refi," what do you think she's doing? Yeah, I'm just going to jump the gun and do the refi with them. No, KT said, don't do it. So to you out there, one of two things happens. One, they do it. Two, you become the person to trust. Hey, this is your mortgage advisor. This is your yearly mortgage review. Here's what I'm doing. Dude, it gave me goosebumps right now. I love that you did that.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. And I know you teach a lot around those strategies and techniques and things. You're very good with language. And I've noticed that you've been just really good with how you sell. I think there's a lot of loan officers that aren't that way. And that is something that's rarely taught, rarely spoke about. I know you do it. I think you're really great at it. But if you could give one growth strategy for loan officers this year, what do you think it would need to be?
Yes, it is, y'all. KPIs. Here's what I mean by that. Your business needs to be broken down into 3 sections. You need to start working backwards. All right. Number 1, your sphere of influence. Really simple. We already know that's the main one. That's your referrals. That's your agents. Number 2, your past clients. Okay. Your past clients. How many are you anticipating to write between now and the end of this year? And then number 3, your credit pulls. You cannot write a loan without credit. But John, credit is expensive. Yes, and so is not pulling it and not having a deal ready to go. All right. So it's twofold. There's cheaper ways to do it. You have soft pulls now. It's just the cost of doing business. I get it's going up. I get all of that. But know your KPIs. Understand them. How many credit pulls do you need to get a pre-approval? Do you know that? I know mine. How many pre-approvals flip every 30 days? I shoot for 50% flips every 30 days. If I pre-approve you, within 30 days, I'm looking 50% of those pre-approvals flipped. Really simple. How many credit reports does it take to get you to that number? How many of those are going to take to get to the closing? Do you know this? Do you? Are you dialed in by the way, these are simple metrics. I'm not telling you know all the details, but those three metrics will change so much for you and make your life that much easier.
Well, it also helps you be able to see, because if
Yes.
you can see where you're going, you'll be able to see, be able to course correct. If you don't, if you can't see, you don't know where your numbers are, you don't know where your time needs to be focused on. It's really hard. But yeah, I agree. Knowing your numbers is amazing. I love that one. Well, let's move on. And this is, kind of wind this down a little bit, or wind this podcast um, to a point of completion. But what do you think is the number one thing that you, Jonathon Haddad, love most about the broker community? Like, what do you like the most about it? Like, is it the people? Is it
So
the
I- I'm a
opportunity?
I'm a nerd. And so for me, it's the matrices and all the different products and options. And like there, you literally can make anything work as long as you know how to put pieces and puzzles together. I love that part of the broker channel. It's insane. I learned something yesterday. Like you can do DSCR on plazas, on whole plaza. I didn't even know
Yeah.
that. In brokers, we have a cash out client worth 2 million. Oh my gosh, I just learned that yesterday. And so being able to learn how to do that and then getting yourself educated on them and adding it to my repertoire. Because when you first learn a new product and when you first get into mortgages, right? Your first call, you're always nervous. Okay, hey, how are you? Okay, so what's your income? How much do you make? And then you get that smooth operator feel, right? And now you're smooth. Now you're KT and you got the voice of gold and you can move around anything. But then you get a product where you're like, never done this before. All right, might as well. And now you get to try something new. And I get that same feeling when I was an LO for to be new again. So now I'm reading the matrices and I'm going to talk to the client. He's asking me questions. I'm like, huh, I don't know that. All right, that's fun for me. Maybe some of y'all don't like that. I love it as part of the broker channel. So I think that's the most important thing for me. You get so many options, so many opportunities, and then you build these relationships with all these different lenders, and it's really cool. Like they have really cool events, and you get to go see the events, and you get to go to a golf outing, and you get to go here, and now you're building relationships that are deeper than just. And I can say this: I was in retail forever. There's nowhere to go. Like there's nowhere to go. It's here's where you're at. Sit down. Call this. Do that. And look, that might be for some people fine, but I love making connections. That's the industry we're in, and so the fact that I can build it all in all these different areas was just so beautiful for me.
I love that answer. And I couldn't agree with you more, man. It's the opportunity, it's the options that we have to just be able to help so many people with things that are just non-traditional. And I freaking love it. So if you were to talk to a loan officer, let's say maybe someone in retail, what advice would you give them if they were interested in making a switch?
If you feel like you're capped, all you're going to get told is the grass isn't greener. That's what you're going to get told. In life, don't ever let somebody tell you about how the grass looks on the other side if they've never done it before. I used to get told that all the time. And by the way, not just for mortgages, I'm talking throughout my entire life. Oh, the grass isn't greener. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not look at the grass on the other side of it? Maybe it is greener. There's a reason market share is growing. And look, retail, maybe that is what you need. Maybe that's what you want to do. By the way, still got friends in the retail space, still got family in the retail space.
Yeah.
They're good human beings. I don't think they're bad people. But for me, man, if you really are capped at where you at and you feel like there's nowhere to go, you would be doing yourself a disservice not taking a look, because right now we're on the wave. 10 years ago, brokers were at like 14, 15% market share. That was 2015. We're at 28% basically at this point. That number's not going down. The anticipation is 50% market share. So what side do you want to be on?
That's it. The grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You can't tell my Longhorns that, because they will stick their head through the fence and they'll eat the grass on the other side. Why? Because it's greener.
Greener.
It's thicker. It's better.
I love
it's
that.
richer. And you see it all the time. I'm like, oh, see, the grass is greener on the other side in some situations. And so everyone has a unique situation when it comes to that, but and personal choices and preferences for their business. And but at the end of the day, we can all get along and have a mutual respect for one another in our models and, helping people in our community and, and all the good things that we want to share to help homeownership a reality. So, John, what's one thing, okay, that no one knows about you? Like what's one thing that most of us don't know about you? I might have threw
Personal,
you off there.
professional, does it matter?
No, no, personal is great. Yeah, I like personal.
Um, all right. So I'll give you two personal. So number one, personal, I am a massive Dragon Ball Z fan. Ever since
Okay.
I was a kid, it's just nostalgia. Don't know why, just always been that way. Huge fan. But number two, so my family, my last name is not Haddad. We don't actually know my last name at all. We believe
Wow.
my grandfather fled during the Armenian genocide and had to change his last name, like so many others had to change because of the pressures um, of having to do that. And so I have a deep, deep fixation on understanding my family history. So I've done every single DNA test you can possibly imagine. I actually just did this brand new one that came out called Family Tree DNA, and it takes your Y chromosome that can only be passed down from father to son. There's actually one chromosome he was 300,000 years ago. Every man alive today is tied to this one person. They call him chromosomal Adam, Y chromosomal Adam, and then they have mitochondrial Eve. Mitochondrial Eve, every woman is tied to this human being, back and forth, and basically she's the start and he's the start is what they say. So I took both of these tests, and it can align you with anybody that ties to you in history. And if you share their surname, the Y test, it's 100% match that is your surname at one point in time, that you are directly related to that human being. So I'm crossing my fingers that I can finally figure out what our real last name is. So it's something I've spent about a decade on. I've spent a lot of money on it, and I've gone very deep. So I don't think anybody knows that about me, and now everybody is going to know that about me.
Yeah, I did not know about that. I did
Yeah.
not know that, and I appreciate you sharing. That's awesome. That's an
Mhm.
incredible story. It reminded me in that moment that it's like, oh man, we take for granted those of us that know where we came from, or we have a good,
Mhm.
line of our heritage. Well, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate you sharing
Oh,
that, and
and
I
one
appreciate
other
you.
thing that's been
Yeah.
helpful. Sorry with that,
Oh,
y'all.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
tell you one thing that's changed my life. My family is a lot of a Middle East, Armenia. So Ottoman Empire is that time, 1915 area. A lot of things were destroyed, or they're in Hebrew. Because of data now and technology, I can translate everything. So all the stuff that I didn't know how to read or find, I now can I can so everything I'm reading now is all new because of AI and Chat GPT, because I can now understand and read all the pages. And before I didn't know how to get there. So when I say why it's so important to adapt and do all that, like it's deeper for me than just mortgages, y'all. Like
That's
now you
it.
understand why this is so deep for me. Like this is a fascination that's just never going to go away. So just wanted to add that to it.
Yeah, and you're 100% accurate, because knowing your why and why we do the things that we do is so important. I know you and I've had that conversation at 7 layers deep, and it's always fun to go there mentally and stuff that you definitely put out there into the community, and the things that you're teaching and the classes AIME's putting on. Look, this is what I want to say, guys. Working in this business without a community, it's like hiking through a forest without a compass. Just doesn't make any sense. Sure, you might find success eventually. You might find where you're even going, but you're going to waste a lot of time and energy to get there. You're going to pay for it one way or the other through time and bad experiences, or a lot of times you can just get the blueprint and plug in. And I'm a firm believer, John, that the AIME membership is a compass for people. It's a resource. It's an experience that can help people stay on track, move faster, and go further than they could alone. So, guys, I'm going to tell you, make sure that you hit the subscribe button to this podcast. Leave us a review if you got value today, and stay tuned for more interviews with top industries like John on this show. And we really appreciate you listening. And John, I want to thank you, my man, for sharing so much value with us today. You're just an incredible soul, and I love you to death, and
You
looking
too,
forward
brother.
to what we're doing moving forward. So, thank you so much.
Thanks, KT, for taking the time to. I don't know how you do what you do. I don't know how you break plank records. I don't know how you do podcasts. I don't know how you operate AIME, the loan officer experience, your company, writing loans, your family, your children, being there for them. You are a executor that I have not met in a very, very long time. And it is incredibly inspiring. So thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. Say it again. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Guys, take
You have it recorded.
Yeah, there you go. Guys, take care, and we'll see you next on the Loan Officer Experience Podcast. Until then, we'll see you on the other side.
See y'all.